So anyway, speaking of human connection, this podcast episode, we're gonna talk about like human connection, right?
Yeah.
And for those who haven't met Machen or watched his previous podcast with us a few years ago, this is Machen Macdonald with us here today, and he is a coach. His coaching practice is Brilliance Institute.
Yep. Leadership Institute.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mouthful.
Brilliance Leadership Institute.
Our friends call us Brilliance for short.
I like that too.
Yep.
It's brilliant. And I have also had some coaching with Machen, and I found a lot of value in it, and held on to some lifelong wisdoms, I would say, that I greatly appreciate. And so I'm thankful to have you back on the show with us today.
Oh, I'm excited.
And we're going to talk about a peer advisory group that you are associated with. Sounds like you have some leadership, roles in to some degree. And I definitely want to know more about it because I've always been a fan of connecting with other business owners, but in authentic ways. And anybody who knows us knows that because of our history with hosting meetups and this podcast. And it just when you make a friend in the business world, and you can talk real talk, right?
Yeah.
And have real expertise. That's where we light each other up and help show each other the way. Right. Or the ways.
Yep.
There are many ways.
A lot of possibilities out there.
Yes. But when we're isolated from one another because we're stuck jamming our thumbs into ChatGPT
right.
or whatever, instead of shaking a few hands and being human, we miss out on that.
Yeah.
And so that would, be a good intro or lead into letting you introduce Vistage and how that peer advisory group works and kind of just like what it is in a nutshell, and then maybe we can go from there and talk more about all the benefits.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So it's all you now.
It's all me.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Vistage is a peer advisory group for local business owners and CEOs. It's a platform where we all come together for a full day once a month to support one another in growing our businesses. And it's holistic. It's not necessarily always about business, right? As a business owner, we've got a life, we've got families, we've got communities, our health. So a lot of times we're supporting one another with maybe, resources around getting healthier or resources around, improving relationships. And then obviously different things around business, whether it's feeling isolated at the top, everybody on your team is there. They want to support you, but sometimes they don't challenge you because they don't want to, risk
Undermine
their check.
You. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Their paycheck. And just the power dynamics that go along with that. There's in the area that we live here, and this is it's a local group, so it's people in this community in the gold country, so to say. There's challenges with regards to available labor and talent and so forth, and how do you attract and retain and keep engaged those people. It's going to be different than it is in Sacramento or Reno or LA or San Francisco or across the country
where there's a bigger pool of talent.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the hot topics in the group, that sounds like. And once a month, full day. We're talking like 8 hours roughly.
Yeah, we open the doors at 8:30 for a breakfast and some light socialization, so to say, and then at 9 o'clock we actually bring in an outside speaker that does a workshop for us, and the workshop's usually about 2.5 to 3 hours. Vistage has a really deep speakers bureau. These are experts that come in from all over the country. They might talk on marketing, they might talk on accounting or HR, AI, cybersecurity, right? All kinds of hot topics that business owners need to know about. And they'll come in and do workshops and, take a look at the members' situation and give them ideas and advice on what they can do better.
Right.
So that's the morning portion of it. Then we have lunch brought in. And then in the afternoon, we do what's called issue processing. And that's where, as a business owner or CEO, you have different decisions that you're needing to make, or opportunities, sticking points, opportunities that you're looking to capture and not screw it up. Different areas, that are challenging. And so what oftentimes happens is the members, they'll check in, right? Here's how I'm doing with business. Here's how life is going. Here's how health is going. A little narrative. And then, they'll say, and here's what I'm up against. And then we have a proprietary process of how to tee that up so that we start to work on the right issue. Because what happens a lot of times is you think the issue is X, and you say, I need help figuring out X. And if everybody jumps and tries to give you advice around X, you're solving the wrong problem, or maybe not the most critical problem. So we've got a process, an inquiry process, where we really tease out of that member what's really going on, what's the real key issue.
And they might not even know that.
And they might not even know it. And I can tell you, like 9 times out of 9, okay,
I like that.
It's not what they thought. Right? And it's by our members, and it gets a little clunky in the beginning because the process is not totally intuitive, because everybody, most people in there are alphas, right? So they're rushing in to show everybody how bright they are.
This is what I learned. And,
here's what you need to do. Right. And so it's like, and that's kind of where my role is keeping people in inquiry mode. And some of them are clever, so they have what we call suggestions.
Oh my God!
They're leading the witness, and we're like, hold on there. What's the question? Right? We're not going to give them the answers yet. Right. And so we go through this process, and then after that round of questioning or inquiry, then we say, okay, is this really the issue that you're wanting to solve? And by this time, they're saying, no, actually, I need to solve for X. Or somebody else says, that's not your issue. I think you need to address X.
Right. And so before you start getting everybody's opinions, you have to validate or verify, I should say, the actual initial statement or concern.
Yep. And we call it, we refer to it as a how do I, right? How do I liberate or terminate my brother-in-law who's been with the company for 10 years and just is not performing, and he's causing issues, right? And we're like, okay, is that the real issue here?
Right. And at the end, it might not be actually the answer is to terminate the guy. Maybe there's something else going on that's like framing that up as a problem.
You're spot on, because here's one of the questions, right? Is we'll ask, okay, Cody, you got to fire your brother-in-law. Where are your fingerprints on the fact that he's not performing in the way that he needs to? Right. So, so a lot of times it's not necessarily fixing something that's out there. It might be fixing something that's inside.
Did you put him in charge of the wrong thing?
Yep.
Did you not give him the right resources? Like, let's not cut off this appendage if there's nothing actually wrong with the appendage.
Right.
Right. I like that a lot. Because an analogy that I have recently thought about when it comes to running into problems in business is that because all of us are so busy, and our minds are always trying to run at the most efficient, on the most efficient path, like neural pathway, let's say.
Yep.
I look at it kind of like a maze, but with a bunch of distractions. It's like you're in a maze, but then there's like iPads on the wall and like flashing lights and like people jumping out and interrupting you and getting you off. Well, by the time you get back to, okay, I got to get back to solving that problem, you end up just walking the same path you walk every time, and then you hit the same end point And it's like you really need to maybe take 3 or 4 steps back and go around the corner. But because there's so many distractions and your mind is trying to be efficient, you always end up walking the same path, hitting the same point, and then you get distracted. And then you get reminded again that there's a problem. And it's just like this almost never-ending cycle of never moving forward on common, whatever your recurring issue is.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Right? It's Bill Murray stepping into the puddle.
Yeah.
You know?
Just over and over.
Yeah.
And we'd like to think we're not insane. And I don't think a lot of us are, but we don't have spotters to let us know, hey, you're doing it again. You know? So I think that that's a huge value. What do you think, you've been doing this, a few years now with this group?
Just over a year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's still once a month. That's still like for 1 hour days, or full days. That's, to me, that's a lot of experience and time to like pick up on some patterns. Aside from the maybe common issue of not having a huge pool of local talents, like, are there other common issues that you find that people in these positions are like struggling with, like common hangups?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I don't know that I came up with this, but I feel like I have. But I know there's other people like a Tony Robbins or a Grant Cardone, you know, that they get this, and that is that 95% of the success or failure of any small business is the mindset of the owner. Right. So there's kind of 5 buckets that the challenges of any owner fall into, right? So first is making good decisions. Second is, how do I hold myself or my team accountable, more accountable? The other is basically isolation, like we talked about.
Right.
You know, everybody kind of feels lonely at the top if they're, you know, their friends maybe don't own a business and can't really relate. They're kind of tired of hearing like, oh, geez, you know, too bad you only made, you know, 500,000 this year, or $1 million, whatever.
Sounds rough, guy.
Yeah.
There's no like sympathy.
Yeah. And you know, it's oftentimes a spouse, unless they're in the business with the person, you know, they're kind of tired of hearing it. And so it's like, where do you go? Right. With people that are, you know, don't have a horse in the race and will tell you like it is, you know, and challenge you and pressure test your thinking. So that's another area. And then just navigating the different challenges, you know, whether it's AI right on the horizon, like, you know, what's going to happen, how's it going to affect us, cybersecurity, just, you know, and the other thing too, you'd be surprised that a lot of people at that level don't understand their numbers.
Right. So it's like, it could be summarized as like the contending with changing landscapes, contending with what they don't know.
That's it right there, right? There's what we know,
Yeah.
what we know we don't know, and then there's what we don't know.
Right.
And that's the stuff that hits people in the face during these meetings, right? Is they're stuck over here thinking, you know, I'm running as fast as I can. I'm banging into that piece of the maze over and over and over, and it's just, there's got to be a way out, so I'm just going to run faster and harder at it. Meanwhile, somebody's outside of that perspective or paradigm can say, what if you did this?
Right.
And it's like, it's a total redirect. It's like a 90-degree redirect on things.
Right.
But it's, you know, it seems counterintuitive when we're kind of in our own isolation or echo chamber with our people, and we would never access that unless we get outside perspective. And it oftentimes comes from somebody that's not in the industry
At all.
Right.
Right. Which makes sense, once again, because of patterns. And patterns do matter because patterns equal efficiency, because they don't require new creativity, which is incredibly like calorie consuming, if you will. That's beautiful. I love that. Right. So we have the topics we just had. There's isolation. There was. Sorry, can you remind me what they were?
Making good decisions or better decisions.
Yeah.
Accountability. Growth or scaling is always top of mind.
How do we get bigger?
Yep. Right. Oh, do we want to? right?
Right.
And with that, oftentimes comes, how do I exit?
Right.
You know, even though a lot of the members in the groups are very growth oriented, you know, they're climbing, as we say, versus camping out. A lot of times they're like, you know what, I got maybe 5-7 years. They need to start to think about what to do with the business to make it where they can.
I think some of the best decisions we've made in business ever had nothing to do with growth and everything to do with cleanliness. Like,
Say more. What do you mean?
Like, not having a janitor on staff, but operating without a bunch of weight.
Eliminating the waste.
Eliminating waste, and sometimes it's eliminating the work that costs you more time and energy, even if it makes you money. Yeah, it's like the thin work. It's like the busy work. That's what I mean, really. Like getting rid of the busy work.
Yeah.
If you, at all costs.
Yeah.
It's like, can we just pay for, like, okay, an example, one great application of AI is we have a task scheduling AI program that it connects to our calendars and uses a calendar. And so after we have a operations or full meeting about our whole business, one decision we made was we never are going to have a meeting that doesn't have action items at the end of it. Like, if we can't, we're not going to.
It could have been an email.
Or just like, why did we even spend the time talking about it at work?
Right.
Like, it needs to have actionable outcomes. Otherwise, we're not going to sit down and talk about it. So that was like one primordial foundational thing that was really important. But then on top of this, now we have this technology where out from those meetings, we have our action items, and we don't leave the meeting until those action items are put into the AI planner that has already considered our working hours. It's going to put certain types of tasks in certain time blocks.
Yep.
It's called Motion, by the way, everybody. The app is. And they have a desktop version too.
Okay.
And so you put those in, and so now you're not operating off of a piece of paper checklist, which I actually really like, but they have a short shelf life.
Yeah.
Motion will look up to, at the lower tiers up to 2 weeks in advance and be like, okay, cool. Well, you have this much work to get done by this deadline, and you've told me that it needs this many hours, and so I'm just going to schedule it out.
Wow. Okay.
And it'll reshuffle it. If you miss a task, it'll reshuffle your whole schedule around it and reconsider everything. And the goal is that you get all the work done by the timeline necessary.
Does it plug in with all kinds of calendars, or is it limited? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I mean,
so the big ones.
Yeah, we use Google.
Outlook.
I know it does Outlook and Apple and.
Okay.
It's pretty. It was hard to get used to, and at first I was worried about it being like a tyrant. That was just like. But actually, what happens is sometimes when you're overwhelmed and you have so much going on as a business owner, I mean, you got like your marketing meeting and you're this and you're that, all sorts of gears shifting in your brain, which is also rough on a person. It helps you get it all plotted, like, because it plots it for you on the calendar, and then you realize, actually, look at all this empty space. But emotionally, you don't feel that way when you come out of the meeting, because you're like, oh my gosh, we just talked about 5 different departments and all the like problems and tasks that need to happen within each of them.
Right.
And so in a person's mind, that's not like a tangible thing. It's just a whole bunch of like, right? Because that's what we feel in our bodies, is like that emotional impact.
Yeah.
And that often, if not 100% of the time, forms our actions, because it's like we're going off of what we feel, And
oh, totally.
And so now you can kind of like delegate the worry to an emotionless like machine. That sounds really terrifying, but it's a good thing, I promise. and then you get to visually see that actually there's a bunch of space in your week and I can fit in a bike ride.
That's huge, because most people are operating off of either what's most recent or has the most emotional content embedded with it or urgency. And they can have plans, but then they have a meeting and all of a sudden, like you say, they're hit in the face with all this stuff. Yeah. And everything gets thrown out the window, where what I'm hearing is it captures it, puts it where it needs to be, where you can be your best with it. Yep. And it's not like right now. Yeah, because
you can set up windows. Like I have it so that I never take a meeting after in the morning ever, because that's when I'm at my best. And then I'm never taking a meeting like after 3:30 is like I think the very latest I'll take a meeting.
Yeah, it's good to know your energy and rhythms.
Yeah, and so you can you set up windows, so certain appointment types and blah, blah, blah. So that's been very helpful. I don't know how we got on this topic.
Cleanliness.
Yeah, cleanliness. Thank you.
Come on, Cody, let's clean this up.
Well, my app does that for me. But the cleanliness decisions have been so valuable to us, because now we get in bike rides. Yeah. And we're not worrying.
Yeah, there's not this emotional toll of like, oh, I'm being irresponsible because, I have this list of things that's just a list on a piece of paper, and I can't really visualize like, I could put hours on each one, but really how much time, how many weeks is that, or is that 1 week, or is that like, what does this actually look like?
Yeah, you can break up projects that are going to take 16 hours, 20 hours, and you can tell it like minimum chunks. I need to work at least 30 minutes at a time on this, or at least 2 hours at a time. And so then it'll chunk it to accordingly.
But it just pulls that emotional, like that, it pulls it out of the fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very good. That's a good headline on that.
But
so it helps us clean up. And so I think that the times that we were focused on growth, we suffered greatly and didn't get the desired outcome. But when we focused on operating cleanly, we got a lot of the desired outcome that we were looking for when we were focused on growth. Yeah. Now, you never achieve, like, you can't get rich saving pennies, but like, you have to invest. So I'm not saying that it replaces, it's a replacement thing, but it's always freed up like emotional bandwidth, which is also your physical, energetic bandwidth.
Totally.
More profitable, right? We make more money, and it's like easier and more money. And so then I would say the only thing that I would like to learn at some point is like how do we what is it? Lean into growth the right way. And so that's when I'm thinking about like, well, I think it's always going to come from having peers around you to the Sherpas helping you up the mountain. Yeah. Right. Because I just think that the ways that we maybe were attempting to focus on growth were less than wise.
Well, there's a ton of different things you can do to affect growth.
Right.
Right. There's a great book out there kind of around this cleanliness piece that you're talking about. It's called 2 Second Lean, Lean.
Okay.
And kind of the gist of it is, if you get your people to look at situations and look at how can we save just 2 seconds off of this process, or save 2 nickels, or 2 units of energy.
Right.
Right. And a lot of times when you're just looking for that small incremental improvement or elimination of waste,
right,
it's amazing what you'll find. Right. So if you think of the word system as save yourself time, energy, and money, and you get your team and yourself to start to look around for the waste and then come together, say, here's my idea for eliminating, the 10 seconds on this process or whatever. And then everybody agrees like, yeah, let's pressure test that. And then it works. That becomes the new standard. And then everybody starts to operate off of that standard until there's another improvement.
Right.
Right. But think about having all these different standards in place around everybody does it, this way.
Right.
This is our way. We do it.
Mm-hmm.
All the way to, cleaning the bathrooms, because if you assign different people to clean the bathroom, it's going to get cleaned in different ways. You're going to have different standards. But if we all agree, here's how we do this, here are the products and the tools and resources we do.
It's what Ray Kroc showed the world, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's totally franchising.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing how, even if you're more in like a self-employment model where you don't have a team yet, which, a lot of small businesses are like that still, and always will be. But there's still a lot of like systematizing you can do with your own self.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That is like, how many times have you been in a coaching situation where you're like, have you ever thought of maybe doing it this way and saving 4 hours a day?
Some people are addicted to the struggle, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. It's my creative flow. I need to
Right.
reinvent the wheel every day.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's more likely to be me out of the two of us for sure. But anyway, back to what you're doing with Vistage. So I could see, how invaluable this could be, because maybe, if I'm in the room and I shared something about my task planning, I just overwhelmed somebody like permanently.
Oh, totally.
For like the smallest little suggestion, like, oh yeah, just get that app. And that's not even like being smart or experienced. It's just like sharing this like thing that you did, and you're like, I don't know, it seemed helpful to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all that experience is out there. It's like, okay, we have no shortage of information.
Right.
But guess what? Like, there's experience that's out there, and that's curated, pressure tested information.
Mm-hmm.
It's very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would not be surprised if there's been some pretty cool transformations, maybe personally and in business for the people that are in the group. Are there any like examples that you like to tell people about, or you would like to tell people about, or even if they're not, without naming names, or however you'd like to share, like, oh, there was this one business that.
Yeah, there's I'll give you a personal one and then a business one. One of the members had a relationship with their child that was estranged, an adult child, and it was really causing a lot of pain and grief for this business owner. And as you can imagine, that's a big energy suck, right?
Yeah.
He's worried about this over here. Meanwhile, he's got to keep his company going.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the other members in the group had a very similar situation, and had a person, there was a therapist, and then also a kind of a retreat, kind of a thing that he says, I went through something very similar with one of my children, and we went through this process, and now we're, in a good place.
Yeah.
And so this member was like very appreciative, and a month goes by, and, we circle back. It's like, did you reach out to your son with regards to this? He's like, he had all these excuses,
Yeah.
Mhm.
rational lies as to why he didn't make the call yet. And the group got on him. It's like, come on, man, this, you were in tears last meeting. What's
Yeah, you can't feed us this
right.
this
and
BS about
So we challenged him, and this is where it's great with the group, is because they will hold you accountable to what you want to be accountable to.
Right.
Right. But it's hard to hold people accountable to things that they're oblivious to.
Right.
Yes.
So if we can pull that in, like we did, so, we challenged him on this. And sure enough, during that next month, he did reach out to his son. They got into this group, kind of a retreat to help really think through this process and communicate more effectively.
Right.
And so now the relationship is on the mend. There's no estrangement. And he also learned these great tools that he could bring back into the business world as well.
And like relationships inside the business.
Relationships, just clean communication.
Right.
Right? Because a lot of times people don't, I think the way we phrased it was unspoken expectations or premeditated resentment.
I've heard that before,
right?
And I love it.
Yeah. And so it's like now people are starting to get really ninja with how to ask cleanly around what they expect and get agreement with what that expectation is. So now if something happens, you can point back to that agreement.
Right.
And have some accountability. And we like to say it's not about holding people accountable, it's holding them capable of being their best.
Right. Which they can't if they keep abandoning the resolve that they had, a month ago.
Well, and then also if they have no idea what's even going on in the room.
Yeah.
Right.
If in my marriage, I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I want to see these 3 things happen today, and I don't tell anybody, and I get to the end of the day and they don't happen. Like,
they should have known, Charlie.
They should have known, right? No, but it's like, how is anybody supposed to, if I'm like, okay, I need my kid to go and water these plants, and I don't tell him. It's like, he's not going to go water them.
Right.
He's 10,
right.
I love the example, though, of that it was a personal struggle brought to what would be on the outside look like purely a business peer group. Because more often than not, when I'm working with another business, the roadblocks that they are facing that are in the conversation of the business that we're talking about has nothing to do with business at all.
Yeah.
And it's all personal.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, why is it again that so-and-so isn't in charge of X, Y, or Z? Oh, well, I was helping them out, or like, and I just feel bad if I, take that away from that. And I'm like, but we're talking about business right now.
Yeah. As a leader, it's not our job to rescue people emotionally.
Yeah.
It's to deliver the truth.
And and it's not always appropriate for me to tell, like, if I happen to have a client with that situation. But yeah, it's like I want to show up for my customers, my clients, and sometimes I do like offer some like personal anecdotal, help because let's human, that's the theme today. But it's a big deal to consider your personal life as being intertwined with your business life.
Yeah. The way we do anything's the way we do everything.
Yeah. And let's be honest, if this is a group of business owners, and I can't speak to CEOs, but if there are business owners in the group, that is a position of liberty, I will say. Right? The one thing that I've recently been thinking about is, wow, even though sometimes being a business owner by choice is very difficult because of the responsibility and the amount of exposure, risk exposure, I get to have ownership of myself in a way that I don't know that I would ever consider like relinquishing. I feel like we've all heard that many times. I'm never going back to working for somebody else. And I actually think that could be like a healthy choice for a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah.
And possibly even me. But like, I'm just saying, when you have the liberty, you also have the freedom, to, self-sabotage. And so maybe you're spending more time in your day thinking about your problems at home, and maybe than you should be, or maybe not. But either way, that there's no clean barrier.
Yeah.
Show up to work when you want. You go home when you want. You think about what you want to think about when you want to think about it. You're playing with fire, but you could also forge some really cool things with the fire if you can stay focused and unsabotaged.
Yeah. And, check this out, right? Most entrepreneurs start a business because one of the reasons is they're trying to get away from bad management, right? And they don't want to be tied down or told what to do or directed, so forth.
Yeah.
And so what happens oftentimes, and I think even Michael Gerber writes about this in his book, The E-Myth, is as a business owner, entrepreneur, we tend to kind of tie up our inner manager, right, and put them in the closet so that we can go be free.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is big truth right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And what we want to remember is our business is supposed to be a blessing to our life, not our life. And if we don't let that inner manager out or have an environment of accountability, we can drift off into our business becoming our life.
Right, because we locked away the inner manager.
Yeah.
Being, the manager being the role of boundaries and order.
Yes.
Let's say order. That's something that Charlie, you and me have talked about for years about like, how do we tap into that the best way we can as a team?
Right. Without letting the manager become a tyrant. Right. And how do you do it personally? Right. And how do you do it? And then how do you like let that out into every aspect of your life? It's like, I can't make myself go to the gym every single day because it's the right thing to do and I should do it. And I'm not capable of doing that to myself because I'll rebel. I'll be like, no, I'm not. No. Well, why? What am I? I'm going to sleep in today or whatever, I'm too busy or this is more important or whatever. So finding that balance of like accountability, without the tyranny of becoming a robot. That's kind of been a lot of our discussions. And then how do you do that in your business where it's like, okay, cool. We have this cool scheduling app. But one of the things that we're not going to do is just blindly follow this scheduling app because it's now our boss. It's like, no, we can't do that, but we also have to be accountable to it to a certain, like, where's the balance?
Yeah.
One option is join a peer advisory group.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's great. Let's see. We actually covered a lot of really important topics.
What was the business? You said you had two.
Oh yeah,
two examples.
Yeah. So
thank you. By the way.
This has popped up a couple times, and not just in my group, but in other Vistage Chair groups across the country. We hear about this oftentimes. Is there's the person that needs to be liberated from their position. And it can be challenging, right? They've been there a long time, certain dynamics, whatever the case may be. But in any event, we had a situation where it was very, very clear that they needed to get this one person out of the role that they were in. And it was kind of they were sitting there going, help me, I bet you can't. Because everything that was asked or suggested, they had that won't work because, or, we already tried that, or, I can't do that for this reason. And it's like, okay, so we kind of took another approach to it.
Yeah, get another angle.
Right. And here was the approach, right? Here was the question. I think it's a brilliant question. It says, your family, and this was a family dynamic, so your family is in a theater. They're sitting in the audience. And your staff, your employees, are also in that audience. And your customers are also in the audience. And they're watching this movie of you up to this point. What's the audience screaming at the screen for you to do? Right? And, he's like, I got to fire him.
Yeah.
Right. He knew the answer.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a Gestalt thing, right? We had to get him out of himself.
Yeah.
To see it and see what everybody else was seeing that was so obvious. To like, okay, there is no other option here.
Right, because their mind was hitting the same roadblock. Like in the maze analogy, it's not just one, but it's like, oh, I've already tried that path. I've already tried that path.
Yep.
I've already tried that path, and once you're in that pattern of thinking of like nothing works, well, nothing
It's
works.
a pattern. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing works. And so, yeah, the ability to get somebody to zoom out far enough is an important, it's an important process.
Yeah.
And
one of the ways that we kind of approach it is most people are reacting to what is the situation or the circumstance.
right.
And when we're reacting it's playing it over and over and over, right? It's bumping into that same thing over and over and over. And we only feel or see or experience that same option.
Right.
And then we say, well, it's not working, so therefore nothing else is going to work. But if you can think of going from just reacting, same 8 letters, but move the C to the front of the word, you get creation. Right?
That's cool.
So now, what do we want to create going forward? And when we get into creation versus reaction, that's where we see all the possibilities.
Right.
Then we can pick and choose and try.
Well, because you now have different materials to play with.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the recipe of defeat is I have no more materials.
Mm-hmm.
They've been
Out of
exhausted.
resources.
Yeah. Been exhausted here. And we've all been there. I mean, I have days now and then where I'm like, you know how life is. It's like some good day, rough day. You just kind of have this like,
welcome to planet Earth.
you know, and just the kind of the up and down. And, you know, I've definitely been at this long enough to where it's like the low days now. I'm just like, well, I get to go to bed and tomorrow's a new one. And like, it's kind of nice to just like have just come to that resolve of like, there are my actions and the things that I can influence. There's very few things that I can actually control.
Yep.
More things I can influence. And then the majority of everything is things that I can't control.
Yeah. The
Right.
3 buckets.
Yeah, like it's just, I don't know, I can't do anything about that, and
But ego wants to convince you can.
yeah, I've had a lot of it beaten out of me. There's still some, there has to be in every person, but yeah, if that's not one of the most relatable things about business ownership, I don't know what it is,
And we all need an ego, right, just to get to the store. But it's got to be, we got to optimize a healthy ego.
So with that said, and all this relatable banter, if somebody's listening right now and they're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, in their business, what's the first step you might suggest that they take to approach that?
Well, I would say reach out.
Yeah.
They can call or email. I'm happy to have a conversation with people. That's where everything starts, is, to your point, a conversation into a relationship. Then we can explore what they're really up against, and if something like a peer advisory group or coaching would be beneficial for them, and then determine what next steps might look like around that.
So ask. Yeah.
Exactly.
Was it you that taught me about askformations?
Yeah.
Can we go over that real quick again? Because I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Machen today before you showed up. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's the one that taught me about askformations, It's the way I recalled it, at least, was it's like, you sort of get what you ask for.
Well, there is that. And so most people know what an affirmation is, right? It's an I am statement. I am successful, I am healthy, I am whatever. And oftentimes the statement that comes after that sets off the BS meter for people, right? Like if I sit there and say, I'm a great leader, I am a great leader, I am a great leader. It
doesn't register in their body.
Doesn't register in their body.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what an askformation is, why am I a good leader? And you start to look for evidence.
Yeah.
And like, well, I'm a good leader because, I've done this. Could I be better? Yeah. So it just gets us pointed in a different direction or a different conversation to to ease into the affirmation. Another thing, in addition to the ask formation, is just putting a buffer with the affirmation. So rather than saying, I am a great leader, it's like, I am becoming a great leader. I'm curious about getting to be a better leader.
Right.
I'm open-minded to different tools and resources to be a different leader.
See, I like the ask formations because I feel like no matter where you're at, you can start there.
Yep.
Right. That's interesting because it is like it's making sure you take the steps, right? I remember first hearing about affirmations from Tom Bilyeu, and he was like, he started it with, I am a good husband. And then he would feel BS about that. But he didn't stop saying the affirmation so that he'd feel the BS about it until he didn't feel the BS anymore, right?
That's just brute force method.
Yeah, that was brute force method. And that's, a pretty rare.
Everybody's wired differently.
Yeah,
sure, that works for some people.
Yeah. Right, yeah. He's like, well, I'm going to live in this very uncomfortable situation until I feel comfortable with how close I've come to the affirmation.
It's like a self-challenge, brute force. Like, okay, well, I know this isn't true.
Right. So what am I, now it's on my mind today, and I'm going to try to make it more true than it was this morning.
Yeah, because now he's guilty of not being a good husband or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
The ask formation is, it's not as jarring. It's not a slap in the face where you're like, okay, well, I'm not going back there. That sucked.
Right.
Right. I don't want to look at that. That's
And, to that point, it's how good or bad of a husband was he, or are we?
Right.
Right. When we say I'm a terrible husband, that's a judgment.
Right.
But if we start to look for evidence of where I'm a good husband, I could probably find a few things and start to feel, to your point, Cody, start to feel into that. And that starts to become the truth, right? It's like our unconscious brain or memory is really like our body. It's the emotions that are become the habit in our body that drives how we do or don't do things.
Yeah.
Right? I don't feel like doing that. I'm not inspired to do that.
It's hard to overcome that.
It can be.
It can be, sure. Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
But it starts with what we're telling ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Whatever we say to ourselves before we look at something determines what we see. So if I'm telling myself affirmations and askformations, I'm going to start to feel a bit different. And then from that feeling, I take action. And from that action, I get the result.
Yeah.
But if I'm, if I have to, go on a call for business development or prospecting or cold calls or something like that, and I fear rejection, and that's my story, right?
Yeah.
Those are my words and my affirmations. Then I'm not going to feel too inspired about taking that kind of activity.
Yeah.
Right?
I will say askformations work really well for me.
Good.
I will say that. I know.
Can you think of a time when?
Every day.
Yeah.
I swear. It's like, at this point, it's my internal language.
Okay.
Not in a, I don't mean that in I'm really good at this. It's not the way I mean it at all. It's very just baked into, speaking to ego death. I've been humbled enough times to where, after you lose the battle enough times, let's say, or you make a bad decision, or you have to face the repercussions of the decision that you didn't get right. After enough times, you start asking yourself, am I actually a piece of shit, or was I just wrong? And you're like, no, you have a lot of value, actually, as a person and as a whatever you're doing, a dad, a husband, a business owner. So this loss is, if you want to be really corny about it, you can bring in the whole if it doesn't go right the first time, it's a learning opportunity, So you have to get used to asking yourself, am I really just a loser, or did this just not go my way?
Yeah.
Because we feel the loss of a bad decision or whatever, and sometimes it's not, you get something in the mail and it's like, oh, your insurance thing wasn't approved, or life. And a lot of us are tempted to accept defeat because we were just told.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the askformations are useful on just micro levels like that, where you're like, is this really the verdict?
Mm-hmm.
Is this permanent? And so those questions matter, because when you can ask that, then it opens you up to like, well, I don't know. How am I supposed to know? I mean, yeah, I got the letter, but do we have to accept that fate?
Well, notice the meaning that you put on, say, getting the letter.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing has any meaning except for what we apply.
Right.
And so based upon where our focus is, our internal language is going to drive that.
Yeah.
And so, talking about like, am I a loser, or was this just circumstantial? Think of this, right? Success comes from good judgment, right? We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good judgment comes from experience. And oftentimes experience comes from poor judgment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so no one's exonerated from that. And even at whatever level you are climbing that mountain, because you're going to be at a different altitude, different situation, you might not make the best decision.
Right.
But then you're going to get feedback.
You almost always make the not best decision first. Like, I don't know. Life feels that way, I should say. that was an emotional statement, not a factual statement. Like, sometimes it's like, I have a lot more life to live.
Life is big enough to where you will almost never make the best decision.
Yeah, there's so many.
But that doesn't mean that you will always make the worst decision either.
Yes, that was, I did paint that kind of black and white, didn't
Yeah.
I? Yeah. Thank you for nuancing that. Where are we at here? Oh, we're at about an hour.
Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about with Vistage? Is there any maybe misconceptions that you might want to clear up with regards to like a peer advisory group like this?
Well, actually, there are a couple misconceptions, right? A lot of times people will think, oh, I'm in a leads group, or I'm a member of, the chamber. And they think because they're mixing for an hour or so a day or a week with other professionals that they've got this piece covered.
Right.
And there's so much more to this, in that, one, it's the education through the speakers, it's the issue processing in the afternoons, but more importantly, it's really the deep dive in friendships that are developed with other people in the same chair as you. Right, that are dealing with the same issues and challenges that not everybody else has to deal with. And then there's also a whole entire network, 45,000 other business owners and CEOs across the country, that you can pick up the phone or type an email instantly and get feedback. So maybe you don't want to talk to, if you're in the HVAC business, you don't want to talk to other HVAC owners or companies in your neck of the woods, but you want to reach out, to South Dakota or Nevada or wherever, or Southern Cal, and say, hey, we're bumping up against this. What are you guys doing around it? And then, answers are like right there. So you have that kind of access to it. And then the other thing that's cool is each year there's a big convention where, if you want, you can travel to that event, and they'll flip coasts every other
that's
year.
always fun too, right? Because then you get to meet people that's open. That the opportunity for serendipity is massive.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And so just don't confuse it with like a leads group.
Right.
We all know what those are, which are great, right? Helps a lot of people launch and build their business. But this is different. The pushback that we get is from 9 to 3:30 or 4. That's a full day. I can't take a full day away from my business, right? And it feels like you can't until you do. And then you get that one idea that turns things around in your business or saves you $500,000 mistake.
Right.
Then it's like, okay, now
I can't afford not to go.
You can't afford not to go. So it's the old adage of, if you feel you can't afford to, it's exactly the reason why.
Yeah.
There's if you can't afford to take a day away from your business once a month, you're really trapped.
Yeah, and it's a good indication that's. And I'll say it like this, and I want to be sensitive to any of the listeners here in like the gold country, because I think this area is quite special. Most business owners in this area, strong family people, they're very oriented in community. They probably sit on a couple boards of other organizations, and their time is stretched pretty thin because they're all about contribution and community
service.
Yeah. So I totally get that. And until you've sat in one of those meetings for a full day and really experienced the benefits of it, you're not going to get it, right? It's like trying to sell somebody, say, a Mercedes or a Tesla, and they're not quite sure what a car is.
Or like, how could,
yeah. That's a good one.
How could a car require that level of investment? Like, it's like, well, I mean, have you driven one?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Machen, thank you so much for sitting with us again today.
Oh, thank you guys.
And,
it was great to be with you.
I hope even just the talk in general is helpful to anybody who's listening. But then, of course, if anybody feels like being a part of a peer advisory group like this might be beneficial to you, highly recommend getting in touch with Machen. He's a great guy, and I'm glad to know him.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise. And, people are welcome to check out a meeting too.
I will.
To see if it feels right and check out the other members in the room.
Yeah, like the first half of the day is kind of like with that open, what would you call it? You can go to the morning stuff.
Yeah, the workshops are available to whomever.
Great.
And then if you're
model.
serious about, checking the group out, you sign an NDA and you can stay for the second half and, play full on. It's right. It's not there to just sit and watch and say, okay, what did they do? How do they do this? It's like, we're going to tee you up.
Right.
You're going to walk away with some real gold.
I like that a lot.
And then, if you don't get the gold and you don't see the value in it, fair enough.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Well, everybody's there for the same reason, and it's to help each other and to be helped. So otherwise nobody would take that kind of time out of their day.
Right.
Right. So
there's 45,000 business owners out there that do it.
That's pretty great.
Very popular. Yeah. Great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.